So Ben and I had a really great time recording this episode of the podcast. I just finished editing it, and I honestly believe that it's the best one that we've put out so far. The conversation seemed to really flow well, and we just kind of kept everything going nice and smooth. It was recorded on April the 14th, 2019, which was the day after UFC 236. So we talk a lot about UFC 236 and kind of the aftermath of it and where the four fighters in the main and co-main events go from here. We touch a little bit on TJ Dillashaw and BJ Penn, it's towards the later end of the podcast, and then we close up talking about our picks for the main event of Alistair Overeem versus Alexei Oleinik, which is coming up this Saturday in Russia. So, without further ado, here's episode number 4 of The Fight Addicts.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Fight Addicts. Get ready to explore the past, present, and future of MMA with your hosts, Seth Oliver and Ben Korn.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to episode number 4 of The Fight Addicts. If this is your first time hearing of us, be sure to check out our blog at thefightaddicts.com and stay up to date with us by following at The Fight Addicts on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And also, on whatever platform you're listening on, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you enjoy what you hear today, do us a favor and leave us a 5-star review. As always, I'm joined by my friend and co-host Ben Korn, who I'll give this over to in just a minute. But first, I want to introduce you to some new segments that we have for the podcast. The first one is a thing that we're doing called Featured Comment of the Week. So anything that me or Ben find funny online, like related to MMA, we're just going to share it here. So this week, it was mine, since it was my idea, and I kind of told Ben about it late. But this was taken from the Joe Rogan podcast with Herb Dean.
There you go.
This is by Joe Poe on YouTube, who said, "Great podcast. I'm surprised it lasted 3 hours. I just assumed Herb would try to stop it early."
That's good.
So shout out to Joe Poe for that.
That's a good joke. I don't really think that Herb stops stuff. I mean, I guess that's a poke at the Robbie Lawler thing.
Yeah.
You know. But usually when I'm listening to a podcast, if I feel like it's dying, they should probably cut it off. There's not much left to talk about. So, yeah.
Yeah. The second segment is Featured Question of the Week. So this is where you guys send in questions to us.
Yes.
Just about anything MMA related, and we'll answer it. So this week, this was sent in by MMA Gravity, which is my friend George on Instagram, and he asked us, which champion do you think will be next to lose their belt? Ben, I'm going to let you lead off with this one.
That's so tough, man. Is Rose is the next one to fight, right?
Right, she's fighting Andrade at UFC 237.
I mean, I think technically that's supposed to be the right answer because she's an underdog, barely. But she's plus money, so she's technically the right answer. But I don't know. I don't ever sleep on Thug Rose. If you're asking me who I really think is going to be the next one to lose their belt, I'm definitely going to have to say Poirier is going to lose to Khabib. He's going to just get wrestled. Poirier is going to fight Khabib, and he's going to lose when they unite those belts. And I love Poirier. I picked him to win. I picked him to beat Max.
All right, you were the man this week.
Well, I wasn't the man.
Half the man.
Yeah, I wasn't the man in the Adesanya fight.
Right.
But, yeah, the thing about Poirier is I just remember saying Chang Sung Jung being on top of him. And if that happened, then it's going to happen with Khabib a lot more. Yeah. So I guess my answer is Poirier.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but I completely agree with you when that fight happens, which obviously I've definitely been guilty of sleeping on Poirier just like I did in the last fight. But I think that Khabib definitely beats him. So that would probably be my answer for that one. Rose, that one's more of a toss-up, like you were saying.
Yeah.
She's always tricky, always good. But I feel like Andrade is going to give her a test, especially with the fight being in Brazil. I think that's going to play a factor into it.
I need to watch more of Andrade. I need to see more of what she's done because I've seen all of what Rose has done, like literally. From The Ultimate Fighter, I've seen every one of her fights, but I haven't really seen that much.
And you picked her to beat Jacek, right, at UFC 217 whenever she knocked her out.
I picked her to beat her when she knocked her out. I didn't pick her to beat her I didn't pick Rose to win in the rematch. I thought that Jędrzejczyk got caught because she took her too lightly. And I thought that Jędrzejczyk was the better fighter, at least stand-up wise, and that proved to be untrue over the two encounters. It's kind of the way that Cody and TJ went, except I expected Cody to win both of those fights, and he lost both of them. So, yeah.
Which we'll get into that
a
lot later in the podcast.
Absolutely.
So just a little bit of recapping for UFC 236. It was the first ever pay-per-view event held on ESPN Plus.
Hold on. Who was your champ to lose the belt?
I sided with you. I think that Poirier will definitely lose to Khabib. You kind of stole my answers because Rose was the one that I was thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, that's kind of 50-50. I feel like Whitaker's going to get past Adesanya.
I don't know, man.
But here's the thing with him. I think that Whitaker's a better fighter, but it almost reminds me of Aldo McGregor, where it's like Conor probably shouldn't beat him, but it's like he has so much momentum. Like Adesanya is different, and I really think that momentum plays a factor.
I think that a lot of the mystique got shattered, though, by Kelvin. Like a lot of this, he beat Anderson Silva. It's like, yeah, I mean, he beat Anderson Silva once he was 40 and not on drugs anymore.
Right, and that's what John Jones said on Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, he does not need to get in a fight with John Jones. John Jones will murder him.
Right, I agree. So back to UFC 236. It was the first pay-per-view event held on ESPN Plus, which, Ben, you and me didn't experience the problem that a bunch of viewers had because we were at Buffalo Wild Wings, even though we did have our own technical difficulties there.
Yes, there was a huge storm.
Yeah, and we're from the Nashville area, so that's which we were actually in Clarksville, Tennessee at that time. But the weather got really bad. We missed part of the first round. I was able to pull it up on my phone from a stream from Reddit, and we caught some of it. But we saw a lot more than a lot of people did, and I heard that there were a lot of complaints about the stream. So I'm happy that we were able to catch the fights. And the official fight of the night it was fights of the night, was Holloway and Poirier and Gastelum and Adesanya.
Yeah.
But our third and final new segment is our bonuses, the Fight Addicts bonuses that me and Ben are going to pick every week. So the first one, which is really just the fight of the night, but we're going to call it the Just Bleed Award.
So
Ben,
that doesn't necessarily mean the fight of the night then. Because there can be better fights. Like, that means that if that Stefan Struve from UFC 99 is on the card, it doesn't matter what else happens. That's the Just Bleed fight of the night.
Yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. But
yeah, mine would be Poirier and Holloway because that was pretty epic. Yeah.
That was a great fight. And like I was telling you right before we started this, I don't know what it is, but I really enjoyed the co-main event. I don't know. I mean, both fights were great, but just personally, I don't know. There was something special about the co-main event, and it was like I was more like on the edge of my seat of that one. I don't know why.
Yeah, no,
I just was.
It's a personal preference. Is the correct answer, but yeah. I mean, that was a great fight up until the main event. When you told me as we were sitting there, well, that's going to be the fight of the night, I was pretty much in agreement, and then the main event happened, and I was like, well, not anymore.
Yeah.
But
I think both were well deserving to be like co-fights of the night.
Yeah.
The next award is the GSP award, which is pretty much the feel-good, like, I guess kind of the biggest win, like the best takeaway from the card. It could be something funny or something serious. So mine was something serious this week, and that was Dustin Poirier finally achieving gold, because he's definitely not had a easy route to the title, which somebody had messaged me and talked about how Poirier had an easy road to the title, and I kindly disagree with them on that. But I think it was really good to see all of his hard work, especially from his background as a kid.
Absolutely.
And all of that led up to that moment. And you could kind of tell he just kind of embodied all of those feelings together as the belt's wrapped around his waist by Dana White.
Yep. That's a good one. I'm going to go with the rematch that when I saw it was happening, I was happy. and I said that Nikita Krylov would win, and he did. So that's my, an unnecessary rematch, kind of a weird rematch that OSP lost. So, yeah. My GSP is Nikita Krylov.
Sounds good. And then the final award is the CM Punk Award, which goes to the most disappointing or the biggest L that was taken at the fight. So this week for me would be Eric Anders getting dropped 4 times in one round to Khalil Roundtree, who he should not be getting dropped by if both of them performing their best. Which
so
I have to give it to
kicks.
Yeah. Him pretty much like doing like a sumo squat after he gets leg kicked. That was just, I don't know. That was a bad performance for Anders. But also, that's taking nothing away from Roundtree. Roundtree looked very good.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard to see if he's not testing positive after that fight, the way he looked out there.
I don't know. I mean, I think that once he landed 2 of those leg kicks, everything changed about how that fight was going to go, because it gave Khalil Roundtree the confidence that he needed to know at any point I can hurt him and take away his center of gravity, and the other guy and Anders can't fire his punches or kicks correctly anymore because he's constantly worried that his leg is going to get destroyed. So, it changes everything. I thought that he was going to shoot more. Eventually he shot, but whenever he took the second kick, I was like, he needs to shoot. He needs to stop getting that leg chopped up. But, yeah.
Yeah. So who's your CM Punk Award for this week?
My CM Punk Award is a moment in the Adesanya and Gastelum fight where Gastelum head kicks Adesanya and he's stanky-legging, stepping in post holes, and he's like, he can't stand up straight. He gets up against the fence, and what does Kelvin do? He shoots. Of course.
Brilliant.
Why wouldn't you just unload with punches whenever you have him where he can't stand up straight?
Especially when you have the power of Kelvin Gastelum, too.
Yeah. It was a bad one.
That was a good one. I like that. So getting into the main event, like we said a little bit earlier, you called it. You had Dustin Poirier winning.
Yep.
And
yep.
I wouldn't necessarily say that I was sleeping on him, but I did think that Max was going to get the better of him and that his volume was going to kind of outlast Dustin's power. But that didn't seem to be the case. Dustin looked good. His cardio looked better than I thought it'd be. And he stayed landing a lot during the fight. Like, his volume was better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, when the decision was read, what did you think that it was? Because if I remember right, we disagreed a little bit on that.
Yeah, I thought Dustin won, definitively.
I think that Dustin won, but
you said it was,
I didn't see it as
48-47?
Yeah.
That was what you wanted the scorecards to be?
Right.
And since it was 49-46 on all 3 cards, you were like, that's not right.
Right.
It should have had at least one that was 48-47. That was what your head was telling you, right?
Yeah. Poirier won. I'm definitely not debating that.
So you're saying that the 4th round.
I gave the 4th round to Holloway. 3rd and 4th. Because Dustin won 1, 2, and 5.
Okay. I think that, and I've only watched this once at midnight.
Same here.
And I don't usually stay up until midnight.
On a rainy midnight, too. Just kind of
yeah.
It was a weird mood.
To set at
a dead Buffalo Wild Wings.
It was very dead. Yeah. The biggest pop of the night was the Predators winning in overtime.
Yeah, shout out to the Nashville Preds.
Yeah, Nashville Preds got it done. That's also why we didn't get a booth for 30 minutes. But I didn't have any problem with it being 4-1 Poirier. I remembered thinking that if Max put it on him in the 5th round, going into the 5th round, I was like, Max needs to win the 5th round. If he's going to win the fight, he needs to definitively win the 5th round. Now, it would have been a horrible night if he had definitively won the 5th round, but not enough to get a 10-8. Then it would be Poirier would have won 48-47. People would have lost their minds because they can only remember what happened last. you know.
Right.
And judging it like a pride fight, Poirier won, you know. So, I don't know.
What do you think is next for Dustin Poirier?
Khabib, right?
Right.
It better be. Be Khabib.
You never know with the lightweights, though. That's why I'm asking you. Like, do you think that it's going to materialize?
It better materialize.
Because, think of Tony Ferguson like a year ago. And everybody's like...
If some craziness happens, then they'll have Conor fight Poirier. When Khabib stays in Dagestan, just doesn't ever fight again because he's not about this life anymore. I don't know. I think that if Conor comes back, he definitely wants to fight Dustin Poirier again. Yeah. Or Max Holloway again.
Do you think that Conor wins that fight?
Yes.
So do you think that he's like always his dad?
Yep.
So
and I love him, but yeah.
Yeah. So Khabib owns Conor, and then Conor owns Poirier.
Khabib owns everybody at 155 pounds. But you're saying in terms of like their fight since they fought before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say pretty much.
I don't think
it's hard for me to say that Max ever beats Poirier. Like there were definitely times where it was now.
Now they never. Yeah. They'll never lose to him.
Yeah. Some reporter asked Dustin. He asked if he would grant Holloway the third fight.
Why?
I have no idea. I was so confused whenever I was listening to it. That doesn't make any sense because he won both of them pretty definitively.
That's like a De La Hoya move 15 years from now. Like, well, this guy definitively won 2 fights. Maybe we can have him come out of retirement.
Yeah, let's go for a trilogy.
Yeah, sell some Spanish insurance.
This time it means nothing.
Yeah, that's right. This time it means nothing.
Yeah, that'll be the pay-per-view after Chuck versus Tito 4.
Yep. Correct.
Yeah, so what do you think's the next move for Holloway? Like, do you go down to 45?
Yes.
Do you stay at 55?
45. That's your belt.
Okay, we're in agreement on that then. I think that's definitely the best move for his legacy.
What are the rankings at 145? Can you pull those up?
Right, that's what I was going to get into. So, number 1 is Jose Aldo, who Max has beat definitively twice. Number 2 would be Brian Ortega, who Max styled on back in November of 2018. Yeah. Number 3 is Frankie Edgar, who we've never seen Max fight.
Right.
But is also, not really... he's in title contention due to his name.
He should be in title contention.
His last fight, I want to say he beat Cub Swanson.
Didn't Brian Ortega knock him out?
Yeah, with the uppercut.
Yeah.
At the very end of round 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, I think that he beat Cub Swanson, shortly after that fight.
Well, he face cranks up Cub Swanson at 24 minutes and 45 seconds, a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah,
when he
because
first
this was
went down to, yeah.
And then at number 4 is Alexander Volkanovski, who fights Jose Aldo at UFC 237. That's the co-main event.
That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah. And then at number 5 is Moicano, Renato Moicano.
Okay.
Number 6 is Zabit Magomedsharipov.
Okay.
And then number 7 is Jeremy Stevens. So by that point, you're already getting to where they're not really in title talk.
Yeah.
So out of those, with Aldo and Volkanovski fighting, I would say that if Aldo wins, you do Holloway versus Edgar. Because nobody wants to see Holloway and Aldo again. Because I feel like it's going to be probably another third-round TKO, just like the first 2 fights. If Volkanovski wins, that's definitely a fight that you make with Holloway versus Volkanovski. What do you think?
Yeah, okay. So, in other words, even if Aldo doesn't matter what he does, he never gets to fight Max Holloway again.
I think so. He would have to beat. I would have to say that he beats Volkanovski, and then maybe Ortega or Edgar, somebody up there. It's pretty much his only chance.
He's beaten Edgar.
Right. Was that at UFC 200? Or they fought twice, haven't they?
I know they fought once. Because
I know they fought at UFC 200.
Did they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I saw the one that wasn't at UFC 200 then, so
All
I
right,
guess they
and they fought
fought
twice.
I think. I could be wrong, but yeah. I've always been a fan of Frankie. I always thought he's overachiever.
Yeah, he's a beast, especially when he was fighting at 55, which is like close to his walk-around weight.
Yeah, I think he could go down to 230 or 135. You know, now that TJ's gone, killer.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Frankie Edgar versus Cody Garbrandt.
Did he ever get he never got the belt at 145, right?
No.
Okay. Yeah, he had the 55 belt. See, like he's a guy that could do it he could do a three champion.
Yeah, the champ.
Yeah, he could be the triple champ. Yeah. Yeah. Three-peat. Frankie Edgar, I don't think anybody wants to fight him ever because he's hard on whoever he's going to fight. You can't get him out of there easy. Only Brian Ortega has. So
Yeah, that's the only time that he's ever been finished by knockout.
Yeah.
Has he been submitted?
I don't think so.
So that was his first ever.
Stoppage.
Wow, his first ever stoppage loss. That's crazy. That's a testament to his career. So, in the co-main event of UFC 236, Israel Adesanya versus Kelvin Gastelum. You had Kelvin, I had Israel.
Yep.
Do you think that in that fight, Adesanya finally proved himself to all the doubters?
No, I felt like it was the opposite of that.
So there was no...
I felt like before, he had a very much of a Machida vibe to him. Of this, and Anderson Silva vibe. Of like, the Matrixy, hands down, you're not going to touch me. He's kind of unhittable. And Kelvin touched him a lot, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing about it is, when you look at that fight, when you really get into, like, what happened in that fight, Kelvin was willing to be in Adesanya's striking range to throw jabs and hard punches.
Kelvin closed the distance very well in that fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he still missed a ton. He missed more than he hit at all. But like when he did land, the thing was Adesanya couldn't really get off his strikes very well because he had to be moving away at all times, or he's going to get clipped because Kelvin's just reaching. You know,
You talked about that, how much he lunged.
Yeah,
in his punches.
And there were a couple times that he made him pay for it. There were a couple good counters, but he had him hurt a couple times. But the fact that Kelvin had Adesanya hurt puts it in a different playing field. That takes away from his mystique.
Right, and especially with the head kick too.
Right.
Like that's pretty crazy. Yeah. Like unblocked, like a very clean flush head kick. Yeah, I don't think that, like, I feel like it did add some like validity to Adesanya, but at the same time, it's like what you were saying. Like, there's definitely still some doubts out there. Like, I didn't come out of that fight being like, this is the guy that's going to dethrone Whitaker and stay like on the throne for like 2 or 3 years, or like this is the guy that could beat Yoel Romero. Like I definitely did not get that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think Yoel Romero takes him.
Right.
When it really comes down to it. Although, maybe not. Because Yoel Romero is not Kelvin Gastelum. And Yoel Romero has this weird tendency to just kind of hang out and do a lot of nothing until he, like, explodes.
He did that a lot in the second Whitaker fight.
Right. And
I think
And I think that if you try and do something like that, it leads to absolute garbage whenever you have a Machida kind of fighter or an Anderson Silva kind of guy where they just kind of both stand there with their hands down and waggle back and forth at each other. So, like, I don't know. I would be interested to see what the wrestling aspect of it looked like because that was a telltale thing in that fight was Kelvin tried repeatedly to get him down and hold him there. Because I thought that was how he would win. Like, I figured he would touch him up on the like if he touched him and dropped him, maybe he could jump on his back. But if he would wrestle him to the ground he could maybe get to his back in some kind of a scramble and choke him. That's how I really saw it going. Obviously, it didn't go that way. But that makes me question who can do it to him like that then. Because Kelvin tried. When he hurt him, he tried. And it was dumb. But even when he was hurt and couldn't stand up straight, he stopped that shot.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, that was definitely, something. Yeah. I was very impressed with Adesanya's takedown defense.
Yeah.
So, it looked very good.
Obviously, I figure Yoel Romero has a little bit better wrestling than Kelvin Gastelum. But as far as his MMA wrestling goes, Kelvin's not a slouch. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
What would you rate Adesanya's performance, like, out of 10? Because I would give him probably 6.5 or 7.
I mean, it's a 7 because I feel like Kelvin was working at a disadvantage through the entire fight of this guy is this freaky 8-inch reach advantage. It's like when you're fighting John Jones, you know? And he touched him up. He won a round.
So you're calling Adesanya the next John Jones?
No, I'm saying that he has similar proportions for the weight division, especially whenever he's fighting Kelvin Gastelum. But because Kelvin should be fighting at 170 if he could ever get his weight right. You know, I mean, he fought Tyron Woodley and he tried, but he couldn't make weight.
Yeah.
But yeah, Adesanya. I mean, he's impressive. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, this isn't taking anything away from his performance.
Yeah, he's the champ. He beat Kelvin.
Yeah.
So.
And that was in a little over a year time span too. Like his rise to the top is crazy. I just think if he was fighting this time last year, like guys like Brad Tavares.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
So obviously he's in the same situation with Poirier, and that the Whitaker fight will more than likely be the next one that's made, unless something insane happens. Which Dana said that one's going down in Australia, since Whitaker's from Australia and Adesanya's fighting out of New Zealand. My thing with Adesanya, like I was telling you before we started, I think that fighter to fighter, like comparison, Whitaker is a better fighter than Adesanya in that stylistic matchup. But Adesanya has so much hype and momentum, and he's kind of like into all that stuff. He's into like energy and kind of like feeding off all that. I think it's going to make it a really interesting fight. Like it's definitely one that I won't be betting on.
It's an interesting fight, but like it depends on what the line is. You know, I think it should be about even, if not, excuse me, if not a little bit for Whitaker to be the favorite.
I was going to ask, do you think that Adesanya will come in as the betting favorite?
No, he shouldn't. He absolutely should not.
I don't think that he should,
because
but I wouldn't be surprised if he is.
He's not a proven commodity, man. No, he will not be the favorite.
Like, see, that's what they said about him before this fight, but he still came in as the favorite.
Did he? Okay. Yeah, but...
Because Kelvin was, I want to say, like, plus 170 or plus 175.
But it's... Okay. All right. But who's Kelvin beaten?
Bisping.
Okay.
He beat Vitor Belfort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in other words, like two people that Bisping retired directly after he got knocked out. It was like a month after the GSP fight, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he got
Bisping took it on short notice.
Yeah, and he got smashed. But he's an old man that took his last fight on short notice and retired after it.
Right.
Yeah, good. Like he should crush him. And Vitor, that's juiceless Vitor. Like, do it to him whenever, like, Michael Bisping fought Vitor. Do it to him when Luke Rockhold
That's what I was about to say.
Oh, ugh. That's a video game right there. Like, that is just an unfair opponent. He starts throwing spinning kicks. He's going to throw a fireball. That's the next thing that's going to happen. Like, Vitor's just going to throw a fireball. Hadouken right in the middle of the ring. Isn't he fighting Chael? Isn't Vitor fighting Chael?
Yeah, that's
it was
what I
Machida
read.
and Chael. And then they changed it to Vitor Chael in Bellator.
Oh, it is in Bellator?
It's in Bellator, yeah.
Okay, because I didn't know if Chael was going out to 1 because Vitor just signed over there and was going to be like in a dirty boxing match with Roy Jones Jr. Remember
What?
that? I want to say that we talked about that on the podcast. I may have taken it out of the notes.
No, we didn't talk about that.
Yeah. So Vitor Belfort, probably a month or two ago, he signs a 1 championship, and then there's like all this news that him and Roy Jones Jr. are going to be in some type of like limited rules, like dirty boxing match.
That's not good, man.
It's not good for Vitor, not good for Roy Jones Jr.,
It's not good for anybody. Yeah. Yeah. The real loser is the fans here. Like when you look at like, how old is Roy Jones Jr.?
I don't even know.
He's got to be 50.
Yeah, that would have been my guess. Over 40s.
Vitor is over 40.
Yeah, I want to say he's in that like 42, 43 range.
So now we're going to decide to have a hands-only. We're basically going to put him in a bare-knuckle thing, is what you're telling me.
That's what we need to see.
Yeah, that's not what we need to see, man. It's kind of like I sent you that link. I sent Seth a link the other day for Butterbean, like his career retrospective.
I thought you were about to talk about the knockout on the dumpsters of that
Oh,
guy.
yeah. Hey, anybody who wants to see how professional wrestling is actually real, you need to Google it's actually on YouTube, the Goldust versus Roddy Piper Backstreet Brawl, because at the 2-minute and 4-second mark of that video is where Roddy Piper breaks his hand on Goldust's head.
Listen with headphones.
Yeah, it's a gross sound. But understand, like, as you watch that full, it's only like 3 minutes long, but go up beforehand, before you watch it, go up and slap a dumpster. Go find a dumpster, a metal dumpster, and slap it with your hand. And then watch that video. Because you'll see like 30-year-old men getting thrown head first into real steel. And yeah, it's rough. But no, the video I was going to tell you about was Butterbean. And Butterbean's last fight was against Larry Holmes. And Larry Holmes is a real boxer. But when Butterbean fought him, he was 53 years old. So that's just horrible. That's like senior abuse, man. 53? You shouldn't be in a boxing ring. Even whenever you are fighting someone else who really shouldn't be in a boxing ring with you. Like, your opponent is like a 300-pound tough man contest winner.
Yeah.
With a nice little 1-2. Like, if you watch that, all of his fights end almost exactly with the same punch combination. It's like a feinting left, like a little short, weak left to lead into a big overhand right.
And he was orthodox, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he threw right-hand punches, yeah.
Okay. So there was a little call-out earlier this week by Israel Adesanya to John Jones.
Yeah.
And then John Jones fired back. He had a couple of tweets. I wrote 2 of them down. He says, if you think you killed 44-year-old Anderson, you didn't. I'm not really sure what fight you've been watching. You got past the legendary GOAT. Now come expletive with the king of the jungle. I'll make you call me daddy by the 3rd. Second tweet was, well said. My man had a toe-to-toe kickboxing match with a short, stubby wrestler. There's only one John Jones, ladies and gentlemen. And I think those tweets will age well. There's only one John Jones. If they were to fight right now, and I like Israel Adesanya. I'm not a hater. I'm not super caught up into him like everybody else, but I am a fan. But John Jones is John Jones, and if they got in a fight, I would not want to watch that. That'd be a beatdown.
Well, look at look at what Adesanya does. Like, Adesanya. Look what he does. Look what his ability is, his length. It's the same thing that everybody hates on John Jones for, minus the wrestling. Like, he's never going to take you down and smash you in with elbows the way that John Jones is.
Right.
Like, John Jones always has in his back pocket that he can take you down even if your name is Daniel Cormier.
Which is scary.
Like, yeah, at any point he can change the way that's going. Like, that's one thing that is so scary about John Jones. I remember realizing it in the Machida fight. When Jones fought Machida, he's doing a lot of this, like, hand fighting, like playing like handsy with him, sticking his hands out. And Machida's a karate guy. So there's one point where Machida just, like, jumps in real quick and sticks him with a good, I think it was a left, I think it was a jab, but it was a very solid connecting punch. At which point, John Jones proceeded to back him up against the cage and choke him unconscious and leave him in a crumpled heap. Like, the second that Jones felt like, oh, well, I'm not going to get the better of that thing that I was trying to show out with against somebody who's good at it. Like, the second that he gets in that scenario, he can always change it. Like, if he can't, like, he couldn't do the whole little karate strike ridiculousness with a karate master, so he choked him into oblivion.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the scariest submission endings that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, being able to change your strategy around to fit whoever and in the middle of what you're doing is something that John Jones can do that not many other people. GSP could do it. Like, GSP had the ability to, he would prefer to just kind of bicycle around and jab you in the eye until you can't see anymore. But if at any point he started losing the stand-up, he could take you down. If you were dangerous on the feet, or like a one-shot threat, he could take you down to begin with.
Right.
You know? Mm-hmm. So being able to do that is very important.
Mm-hmm. So all controversy aside, all picograms aside, do you have John Jones as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yeah.
So even if he were to always have been clean, like, you think that he still would have been as dominant?
I don't know.
Probably. I know that's a huge what if, but
I don't know, man. I don't know what he, like, I don't know if he had a unfair chemical advantage when Vitor Belfort had him in an armbar and he was like, nope, I'm not going to let this happen to me, and just freaked out. And, like, Vitor said he heard it pop and stuff.
I'm sure
like,
he did.
He hurt his arm when he did that to him, but he used supernatural John Jones to just be like, no,
not today.
I'm not going to have it. That's not going to be how this goes. And he was able to do that. That wasn't Juicy Vitor. That was right after, right?
I thought it was Juicy Vitor.
Was he on TRT when he fought him?
He had a mohawk. If you can match his hairstyle with what period that was.
I need to see what his breasts look like to know whether or not it was Juicy Vitor. But yeah. But yeah, like, who knows? Did that give him a little bit of an edge? All I can say is, there's no way that Pride Shogun loses to Forrest Griffin.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, wait a minute. Whenever you don't have this magic sauce, like, the cop from Atlanta can wear you out. Like, just wear you down until eventually you're like, I give up. This guy I can't hit as hard. I'm tired.
Yeah. But
well, there you go.
No magic sauce Shogun still beats, like, no cocaine Chuck Liddell.
Ooh. Well, when is no cocaine Chuck Liddell? What version of Chuck is that?
Because that may have just been like super glass chin Chuck, and that's why he lost.
Yeah, I think it's super glass chin Chuck.
So that was still cocaine Chuck?
That was any version of Chuck that gets hit with a punch that Shogun hit him with. That didn't matter. That one, the punch that put him down on the Shogun one, that wasn't, oh, he's got a glass chin. It wasn't the weird knockout that Rich Franklin got on him with a broken arm of him stepping in and he just pushes the button and goes to sleep. No, that was a full-on, like, kill shot because Shogun timed it. Chuck's always Mr. Hands down.
That weird kind of like bobbing up and down.
Yeah,
like,
and he leaves that face.
Right there.
open. Yeah, and Rashad found it, and then
That Rashad knockouts.
yeah,
Exactly. That one's nasty.
It's very similar. It's very similar to the way that he found it. It's less. It took him longer to do it, and it was less of a blur. The Rashad one was so fast, so clean,
Yeah,
and
that's beautiful.
brought out so much racism in that crowd. It actually did. That was a big thing back in the day. Like, people didn't like that at all. That Chuck
For real?
Chuck lost to a black dude. Yeah.
Well, and then
It was a different time, man.
yeah. So then what they do during the Rampage fight when a belt's on the line?
Well, see, here's the thing, and this is, man, I'm going to say this on a podcast. A lot of discussion in the MMA community around how Rashad was hated and Rampage was beloved was around the kind of black person that they were. And a lot of people feel like if you carry yourself like Rampage, you don't rock the boat and you fit the stereotypes that everybody has for you, and you can just be Rampage and hump reporters and be all crazy guy, you know?
That video.
Yeah, you can do whatever but you need to stay in your role. And Rashad is a well-spoken black man who carries himself well, who's invested his money, who wears suits, and is trying to promote himself.
Right.
And so the white MMA community doesn't like that.
Yeah.
In general.
And just for clarification, Ben and I are both Caucasian males.
Speak for yourself. No, yeah, I'm very white. Yeah. But yeah, so I'm not trying to put words in anyone's mouth.
Right.
That's what was going on Sherdog and the message boards as it was read by me at the time of. So this is all years ago. This is when it was, what do you do when you see Rashad? Boo. That's the best thing Rampage has ever done. Was he on Ultimate Fighter just kept repeating the phrase, what do you say when you see Rashad? Boo. And so every time Rashad Evans weighed in for like 4 or 5 fights, he was just rained down with boos. He lost all of his fans. And it wasn't fair.
That.
It wasn't fair because everybody loved Rampage. I loved Rampage. I wanted Rampage to kill him in that fight.
Yeah.
You know?
I was rooting for Rampage too.
Yeah.
Because Rampage was like the funny one. So like you can get behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Rampage was the more
He's what made me turn on Rashad. Because like I was a fan of Rashad's. And okay, we can get into this a little bit, but I feel like Rashad was so good that he's almost kind of like a disappointment. And like how good he was, like his peak.
and how quickly it went away.
Right. Due to the Machida era.
Yeah.
Because that's when he's like knocked out cross-eyed. Like
Yeah.
that's
It's
a
the
bad image.
Biz Marquee album cover. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So,
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I got into
Go
that
ahead,
to say
yeah.
that I was a fan of his. I obviously didn't like that. I didn't like that he knocked out, my dude, Chuck Liddell. But I was also like, wow, like he's a very good fighter. But I did watch, I want to say I watched the whole season, that Ultimate Fighter with him and Rampage. And I was like, oh yeah, like Team Rampage all the way on this one. Because he was just funny. He was able to, I don't know, just like related to him more.
one of the funniest comments that I ever saw was on that season of Ultimate Fighter, Rampage gets really mad and he destroys a door. Like he he breaks it, and like one of the comments on YouTube was like, I think if they had the rematch now, I'd take the door by unanimous decision 30-27. Because he'd just get exhausted. Couldn't finish it. And he weighed like...
Excuse me.
I just remember the ridiculousness of Rampage weighing in for the King Mo fight at like 250-something pounds. Just not caring at all.
Wait, was this at light heavyweight?
No, it was at... They said they'd do it at heavyweight because King Mo...
I was about to say, I was like, how have I never heard of this? That's like insane to be like 55 or 50 pounds over the weight limit.
Yeah, King Mo was just like, I'll fight him at any weight because which was actually a mistake. But, yeah. He doesn't care anymore. Rampage, everybody.
Yeah. One of the realest to ever do it.
I mean, he's real. Don't get me wrong. I think he is who he is.
Yeah, and he represents the great state of Tennessee.
Yeah, Memphis, baby.
All the way. Speaking of representing things, Eric Anders represents
leg kicks.
my favorite football team, the University of Alabama, where I attend college right now, online, not on campus. But anyways, he did not look good at all against Khalil Roundtree. I want to talk a little bit about that fight.
Okay.
What were your main takeaways from that? Like, did Khalil Roundtree, was that a great performance by him, a terrible performance by Anders, or just like the best combination of both of those?
Well, like I said, it's a matter of maybe the first one, but once he started landing those leg kicks, changed everything completely, the whole nature of everything. Because I know from the way it played out, he didn't go in anticipating this guy's going to chop my leg out from under me. Because he was like, this isn't the way this is going to go. I'm just going to eat it until I can't eat it anymore, because he expected an exchange at some point. And by the time he started to have to worry about it, it was too late. It was already shot. It can't get kicked anymore. And now I'm going to start doing the swing it up in the air like I'm Robbie Lawler fighting Melvin Manhoff, except it's not going to end like that. You know, he's just going to keep chopping.
Yeah.
And
I will say, though, Anders does have the heart of a warrior. The fact that he was able to go to that fight, like, to the judges.
Yeah, he went out like a man should.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't tap to strikes or something. He didn't quit when he could have. Who was it, Neil Grove? I think it's Neil Grove, everybody. And if it's not, my apologies to the Goliath, Neil Grove. He fought Pat Barry.
HD.
And I want to say it was like Pat Barry kicked him, and you could tell that it hurt. And he kind of he backed away, and then he stepped back into kicking range, and Pat Barry kicked him in the leg again, and he just turned and was like, nope, I'm done. Waved his hand, was like, I'm done. I think he fell down and was like, I'm done. I cannot get kicked in the leg like that. Because he kicked him in the knee. Like, he hit him in the knee. So
yeah.
I was like, well, he might have actually hurt something. But, man, Pat Barry, you can see strong men quit when they're getting kicked like that. You can see Anthony Hardunk shoot. All he is a kickboxer. And when he fought Pat Barry, he was getting lit up so hardcore that he was like, I got to shoot. I got to shoot on him. He's beating me up too bad.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah.
So, do you have anybody in mind, like, next for either of those? For Anders or Roundtree? Yeah, sorry, I should have clarified that.
Rematch. Okay, so for
Eric Anders and Khalil Roundtree Jr.
Khalil should get somebody good because of how he styled on someone on a pay-per-view.
I'd like to see him fight St. Preux. Even though St. Prue's coming off a loss.
He won't fight St. Preux because he's coming off a loss. He'll fight Nikita Krylov, and he'll lose.
Get tapped.
No, No, I think he'll get beat up. I think he'll get head kicked. Maybe I'm blaspheming, but yeah. Khalil's 205.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think he'll beat Krylov if they did that.
Yeah, but speaking of that, like 205, I think that Anders should probably make the jump back down to middleweight. Because ever since he's made his light heavyweight debut, he's lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And he was like 11-1, I think, whenever he had his last fight at middleweight. Now he's like 11-4.
Okay.
To me, he just looked like he's too slow and sluggish at light heavy, which is weird.
That's not a good thing to do to bring him down then.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make sense.
He's going to be
but that's what he looked like in the Khalil fight, which I understand. I mean, you're getting leg kicked by a 220-pound man, but at the same time, and he's never looked the fastest. Like, I will say that.
I mean,
he's not known for his speed.
Yeah, his stance doesn't help him. His flat-footedness, like, that's why he got his leg chopped up, is because he was really heavy, plodding. He's coming at it like Nick Diaz, no footwork, 0 footwork. So, I don't know. I mean, yeah, if he can go to a different weight class where he's going to be bigger, that's good. But I think that he should just check some kicks and have to get somebody into an exchange of the hands, right? Or work on the wrestling. Got to do one of those things. That's what I would do.
So, major news broke this week. Well, not broke. Let me rephrase that. News came out back on March the 20th about TJ Dillashaw failing a drug test.
Yeah.
And this week, he and his coaches released statements about him pretty much admitting that he did it.
Yeah.
And he's going to face his 2-year suspension like a man. What are your thoughts on TJ's legacy and where it goes from here? Like, is it completely out the window? Are we going to see this, like, glorious return where he comes, like, riding on horseback back into the UFC after his 2 years are up? How do you see this situation unfolding?
He obviously will never be looked at the same. But the thing is, it's not as much of a tragedy because he didn't beat Henry Cejudo. Like, that's the thing that it almost gets glossed over. Like, his biggest career failure was, I'm going to turn myself into Skeletor and go take a belt and kill a division. And it's like, no, that's not really the best idea. And, so, I mean, that already tarnished a lot of what he did because he has that loss. And then to find out that he's cheating, and in a way that cannot be denied. That's the best part about this, is like the only way. And here's something that I'm down with. Like, I'm completely cool with people taking whatever, I don't think you should need a permission slip from your doctor to put whatever substance you want in your body as a grown adult.
Are you talking, I was about to say, are you saying, like, for fighters, or are you talking about, like, in general, like, in life?
Almost in life. Almost,
Yeah.
Like, okay, for example, I have an inhaler, right? That you saw me use so that I wasn't all on the podcast into the microphone, just trying to breathe. That inhaler has albuterol in it, and all that does is, like, relax your lungs. Like, it doesn't get you high. I don't think you can make any kind of drug with it. You can't manufacture any drug. But to get one, I have to go to my doctor and be like, hey, I need a prescription for this. And they have to write me a slip to go to the pharmacy with, be like, hey, I need this. And, like, I don't understand why we have that many hands involved in something that doesn't affect your brain. Or, like, you can't overdose on, I don't think. I think you can just breathe it as much as you want. So, like, I don't understand why I need a prescription for it. Now I understand why they don't sell meth at a gas station, for the good of society.
Yeah.
Like, obviously you can't take all controls off because they're morons, and you got to keep the world safe from morons.
That's the problem with everything. This is going down a rabbit hole, but I feel like most things, as long as you don't abuse them, they're okay. Like, in moderation.
Like heroin, yeah.
Okay, let's say alcohol.
Yeah.
A couple drinks aren't going to kill you, but then
it's in the Bible.
You start getting
Wine
drunk.
is good for drunkenness is a sin,
drunkenness.
Not drinking.
And then, which leads to, or could possibly lead to addiction. And then you become an alcoholic, and then you're a terrible father, and then
you lose 6 fights in a row, and then you're going to fight Clay Guida. Yeah. It could happen.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're talking about, but I'm just saying, hypothetically, that could happen.
While we're on the prodigy or the
prodigy.
What's Mike Goldberg? That's what he said. He said, I think he messed it up like 3 times. He said the prodigy, the prodigy, BJ Penn, in one of his many iconic quotes.
Well, BJ Penn, when I think of Mike Goldberg, I don't think of BJ. I think of Jens.
BJ's the little eagle.
The little eagle soars again. And it's like, man, come on. That's just...
And it was the way he said it, too. Because for those that don't know, Jen's nickname is Little Evil.
Yeah.
So Mike, because I want to say that the camera view is like he's on top of the cage, right?
Yeah, he jumps up on top of the cage.
And Goldberg is just like, the Little Eagle soars again.
The Little Eagle. He calls him the Little Eagle. He doesn't know what his nickname is. Yeah, and I just wanted so bad for Goldberg to be calling the Nurmagomedov fight.
With Conor?
Because he's isn't he the...
Yeah, the Eagle.
The Eagle, yeah.
To call him the Evil.
No, so that he could say the Little Eagle soars again when he's drop kicking Dylan Dennis. Like as he's jumping over the cage.
Yeah.
Just the Little Eagle soars again. With Rogan like trying to hold him out of the way as like security is going crazy. But Goldberg's just in perfect Goldberg voice.
Hey, speaking of that, talk about your t-shirt idea again that you have about Dylan
On
Dennis.
the air? You don't think someone's going to steal it? I don't think anyone's going to steal this idea.
No. We want to know. Give us feedback for this. But
so we had a hypothetical situation where Conor was going to get triangled by Cerrone, was how it came about.
Right.
Dad Cerrone is going to catch a triangle on Conor McGregor from the bottom. And when he does, the baby Cerrone.
Mr. Danger.
Yeah, Danger.
Daxon Danger.
Daxon Danger?
Yeah, because it's like Donald something Cerrone. His initials are Dak, so it's like son of Dak. So Daxon Danger Cerrone. Did you understand that?
Okay.
That's the beauty of that name.
I mean, sure. Yeah. But anyway, so I was thinking as I was describing Cerrone's going to triangle Conor from the bottom, who would be there? Well, Cerrone's baby Danger would be there, and Dylan Dennis would be there. And as Cerrone was locking in the triangle, I said that I think Seth said Cerrone would just make eye contact with Dylan Dennis, and I was like, no, Cerrone's baby would make eye contact with Dylan Dennis, and then fly out of his mother's arm and drop kick him the way that Khabib did. And so we're looking into the copyright law of a baby with the giant earmuffs, as Cerrone's baby always is.
Yeah. About 3 sizes too big.
Drop kicking Dylan Dennis. I feel like you could get an artist to do a representation of Dylan Dennis, like a caricature of Dylan Dennis, that you could say isn't Dylan Dennis, but everyone who knows MMA, because he has like frosted tips, like you could draw it where his hair is very much Dylan Dennis's stupid looking hair.
Dirty Q-tip type hair.
Well, you know how he kind of has that, like you could.
Yeah, I know what it is.
You could do it.
I've just heard Max called his old like bleach blonde hair that. So
it's just terrible. Reminds me of like 1999.
Hey, my birth year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
But yeah, so real quick, if you guys are interested in stuff like that, Ben has a very creative mind, and I'm more of the serious but like pretty good at business type guy. So he has ideas. I kind of materialize them. So if you think that we should start making t-shirts like that, let us know, because that would help our income situation for the Fight Addicts. It might even take us down a little bit different route than we had planned by opening up like a MMA type t-shirt shop. But like you said, we're looking into copyright and a bunch of other legal stuff. But if that all pans out correctly and good for us, we might go down that route.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with making a funny t-shirt. Here's the thing. As we go into like people who have domestic violence issues, like in
and we
Bellator,
have to touch on that.
In Bellator all the time, Frank Trigg is a ref. Like Frank Trigg refs fights.
For real?
Yeah. But like when he was working at HDNet, I know that he got fired.
Pat Barry-Net.
Yeah. And when he was working at Pat Barry-Net, he got fired. He was doing him and Chuvalo were always the team that called the fights. Michael Chuvalo and Frank Trigg were the guys that called all the local fights. And then it became Pat Miletich when they fired Frank Trigg because he was having an affair with some like producer of the show or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like someone that he worked with the company. And when his wife found out about it, there were domestic abuse charges, and she posted like pictures of her neck to social media, and it was like, oh, that's, I mean, like, there are two sides to every story, and I know that,
for sure.
and I know that, like, Frank Trigg didn't go to prison, at least to my knowledge, because I never heard anything about that. So they resolved it somehow, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, and stuff like that definitely isn't a laughing matter.
No, man. Like, yeah, you could make jokes about bad things happening to bad people. But like, and I always want to remind people of the horrible acts of people who are beloved for some reason.
Like, for example, who?
Like Mark Wahlberg beat a guy blind when he was a teenager.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just some old random Asian dude. Like, he should have gone to, like, felony, like, he should have gone to, like, federal prison. Yeah. Like, there are all kinds of horrible things that people have done,
Yeah. And speaking of horrible things that people have done, BJ Penn has been in the news this week.
That's not a confirmed thing.
It's still alleged at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
All it is a girl who says this now.
His wife is the girl.
Baby's mother.
It's not wife?
Not wife.
Okay. Then
Baby's mother. Mother of his children.
Gotcha.
I don't think they're married. I don't think they were ever married.
My apologies on that. I could have sworn that the article said his wife.
I think that he's like his common law wife.
Like, he's just been with her for so long.
They've been with her forever, and he has children with her, and they live together.
Probably how Connor and Dee will end up.
Yeah. Think of it like that.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I could also be completely wrong.
She's came out and said that he has been abusing her, and that I think maybe the kids or his kids
there
too.
Was so like there are two things that raised red flags to me in her story, and it's not to say that she's not telling the truth, but it said that he spilled coke, like he spilled cocaine on their baby. To which I said, I want to know how that's possible. Like, where, like, you just have like a mirror on your baby, like he's doing blow like off of your baby. What's going on here? Like, how does he get coke on the baby? That's the first question. Secondly, she puts in there that like he tried to grab her and he couldn't complete the takedown. Like, she felt necessary to like insult his takedown ability in like her statement. So it's like, that seems as petty and vindictive as you can possibly be.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I don't know. Now,
I hope it's not true.
Do I think that, here's the thing. This is not the first time BJ Penn has been investigated, not for domestic stuff,
right,
but like he's gotten in fights a lot on that island.
Yeah, I think
that kind of go away.
2016 stuff broke out about like him having issues or something like that. I think it was 2016 was the year.
Back in the day, though, like he's always had like scraps on the island with dudes at bars and stuff. Like he's never been afraid to just go, except like he'll hurt someone that's just a dude at a bar.
Yeah.
Like that was always that's something that Pat Miletich says, that his biggest fear. I know this is kind of off, went sideways, but it made me think of dudes at bars. He says that every night his biggest fear is that he's going to get a phone call that somebody that he trained was at some bar and somebody was running their mouth and the guy he trained just killed him, like punched him wrong, like hit him too hard in the liver or whatever, or like kicked him in the head.
Yeah. And
they're not a trained fighter, and they died.
I've never thought about coaches having to deal with that. Like that probably is a common thought among coaches.
Well, like I've always thought, like, the whole with great power comes great responsibility. Like, if you actually have, like, the most dangerous people I've ever met in my life the people who could legitimately just end, like if there was a room full of 5 guys and this dude that I know was in it, I would fully expect him to come out alive and everyone in that room to be dead. If it was like, okay, it's these 5 guys against Welby. He's going to kill all of them, and it's not going to be a problem. But the thing is, he was the most secure about himself. He was a nice human being. He was never a bully in any way. He never imposed himself because he had a knowledge, he had a self pride, or whatever you call it, self-esteem, that he could easily kill anybody in a room whenever he wanted to. And that gives you a certain, I'm more comfortable in my own skin. So, like, if you give that to somebody who isn't comfortable in their own skin, who's aggressive and insecure in their masculinity, and they need to prove something to somebody, then you get Mike Perry. Now,
Mike Perry, a comment about him almost got featured comment of the week, which was Mike Perry's next fight should be against an IQ test. Almost had it. Came in second.
I was listening to some guys, I think they were called like keyboard warriors, if I'm remembering right.
Yeah,
I found them.
me a link.
Yeah, I found them on SoundCloud. But they said Mike Perry only has 1 fight left on his contract, and wouldn't it be great if he showed up in bare knuckle? Talk about somebody made for bare knuckle.
Yeah.
Put some platinum in there. Artem versus Mike Perry.
Meet in the middle at 55.
Yeah, I mean, he's huge. He would hurt him. He would end him. Although, I mean, like, Artem doesn't move his head. Artem moves his head better than Mike Perry does. Mike Perry doesn't move his face, man. That's a problem.
He's got those face tattoos, just block whatever's coming at him.
Yeah.
Platinum right above the eyebrow. He's one of a kind for sure.
Definitely.
But I would like to see him in bare knuckle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a fan of bare knuckle? Because
to a point.
Sorry about not having a podcast last week. That falls back on me because I was sick all weekend, and Ben and I weren't able to record.
Yeah.
And we were going to be talking about bare knuckle a little bit.
Yeah.
Have you watched the Artem fight yet?
No.
Okay.
I still haven't seen it. I've seen what they look like after it. And I think it was Luke Thomas that I was listening to who said something about, he made a point about the fact that the ring is a circle instead of a square.
The squared circle.
And it's so, it's everything is set up just for ultra violence. And like,
do you think that's genius, or are you like, nope, we don't need to go down this route?
I don't mind going down that route, but don't call it what it's not. Like, I'll sit there and watch shock fights with you. I'll watch X-Harm. I'll watch any kind of dumb idea where somebody's going to get knocked unconscious. I'll watch that. But it shouldn't become like, oh, well, this is on par with like UFC or...
Like, it shouldn't be sanctioned.
Or, Chris Lieben's fighting there.
Chris Lieben, he had a 45-second knockout.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the co-main.
But Chris Lieben couldn't pass his physical to fight for Bellator. When he went over there, they were like, your heart is messed up. And then...
So come on to bare knuckle.
Yeah, exactly. So let's do it in bare knuckle.
Yeah.
So that you can go out like the wrestler, like Mickey Rourke, and just die in the ring. But...
Yeah. Well, we've already gone a lot longer than we'd originally planned, so let's finish up with our picks for the main event of the next, I want to say it's UFC on ESPN Plus 7, which is headlined by Alistair Overeem and Alexei Oleinik.
When is this again?
This is this weekend.
Really?
Yep.
What are the odds?
Unless I have it wrong. I'm pretty sure there's not another weekend gap like last week. I want to say it's coming up this weekend.
What are the odds on?
Man, I didn't look it
Oleinik
up. And we don't have internet here at the church, which is where this is being recorded.
So here's the thing. If Oleinik is the underdog, I'm put a gun to my head, Oleinik is going to tap him. He's going to get him to the ground and tap him. But the thing is, Overeem is trickier on the... Overeem is not going to be tapped as easily as Oleinik has been able to get people on the ground. Overeem is a much better jiu-jitsu heavyweight than anybody ever gives him credit for. So that's going to be fun, man, if they go to the floor. There's also a possibility that Overeem does what Overeem does. Obviously Overeem wants to keep it standing.
Yeah. I would bet that he's the favorite coming into it. Partially because of his name, too.
Yeah.
He's a lot bigger name than Alexei Oleinik.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that Oleinik could tap him.
I think
I'm like you
Oleinik's
on
gonna
that.
tap
I
him,
think that's what's going to happen.
Absolutely, yeah.
At this stage in their career. I feel like that's the most likely thing to happen.
Which stage doesn't it happen, though?
Maybe like the horse meat, like Ubering.
Is it 5 rounds?
That's probably a knockout.
Is it 5 rounds?
This one, or like you're saying in the past, like this hypothetical
This
fight.
one is 5 rounds, right?
Yeah, because it's the main event.
Yeah, that leans towards
Oleinik.
Yeah.
All right, so we're in agreement on that.
Yeah.
Oleinik gets it done. You ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, man.
All right. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of The Fight Addicts. Our goal is to always bring you a high-quality podcast, and if you feel like we did that, please drop us a 5-star review if you're listening on iTunes, and be sure to like and subscribe on whatever platform that you're listening to. Be sure to check out the blog at thefightaddicts.com and stay up to date with us by following at The Fight Addicts on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Me and Ben are both responsive. We want your feedback, and we're willing to engage with you on whatever MMA-related thing you want to talk about. So, thank you guys for listening. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.